I have chosen to speak on the issue of rape in India. Sexual assault is a topic that hits very close to home for me, as I have family and friends who have been attacked in this way, and so I try to be knowledgeable about the issue in as many capacities as possible, including its presence in other countries. First off, it is notable that the atrocities of sexual assault are extremely underreported in India. In fact, only an estimated 1% of rape victims in India ever come forward, and the fact that even those relatively few reported rapes are so horrific speaks volumes to the rapes that never get reported at all. Also, if an Indian woman is married to the man who rapes her, it is not considered a crime by the Indian government. In their eyes, marital rape does not exist. Despite all of this, rape is still the fourth most committed crime against women in India, and over 90% of the rapes are committed by someone in the victim's life that they know. The culture around relationships between men and women in India is also very different. On average, men have about 14 different sexual partners in their lifetime, while women have half of that. Also, men are typically at least a few years older than the female they're in a relationship with. This makes a power dynamic between the man and woman in many cases in which the woman may not want to have sex with the man, but may believe that it is her obligation to do so, or that something bad will happen if she refuses. There are certain pressures young men in India face in regards to rape as well, although their pressures are often in the form of their peers inviting them to participate in a rape. Gang rape happens often as a result of this, as if the young men refuse, they are thought of as weak and not manly enough by their peers. Part of the reason rape is so underreported in India, and even less prosecuted, is that the legal system is not kind to women who speak out on what happened to them. The local laws in different parts of India tend to vaguely follow the written law, and yet differ tremendously at the same time, especially in that they are enforced differently. The written law in India that defines rape is not actually as unreasonable as one might expect in light of previous information. In fact, it is a fairly broad definition that in most other countries would be hard to twist to one's own agenda. However, in practice, the laws are in fact too broad once twisted to actually help many of the women who come forward. The women are discredited and shamed in too many cases to count. Other women who may have experienced this heinous crime then see that and decide for multiple reasons that reporting what happened to them is not worth the trouble, as no matter how solid their evidence starts out as, at every step of the way in the legal process they are deterred. There is also the fact to consider that the men are often listened to and respected more than the women in India, as well as considered to be more intelligent. And so if the case ends in a he said, she said situation, as rape trials so often do, the court is much more likely to side with the man than the woman. Part of this is due to the fact that women in India are chronically much more undereducated than the men. There is also a huge stigma around sexual assault in India, worsened by the general misogyny directed towards women in general. The women are thought to not know what they're saying when making accusations and are often dismissed as either lying or just being confused about what really happened. The stigma affects the women's families as well. The families of rape victims in India are thought to have raised their daughters in an incorrect way that led to the shame of sexual assault, and the whole family is often given a bad reputation if a member speaks out on their rape. This leads to a culture of victim blaming and shaming any women who actually come forward with their cases. Oftentimes, because of this, the families of the women will shun them or effectively disown them altogether. If a pregnancy from rape occurs, the woman is often denied an abortion. Although domestic law in India states that abortions and other emergency medical services of that variety should be available to women, individual practices have a lot of room to interpret the law and often do so in a hurtful way. Many hospitals that offer abortions will deny them to most women for various reasons. For example, spousal consent is often required and is rarely given. Also, since marital rape is not recognized in India, Many abortion clinics will deny a woman an abortion if it is revealed that the child is the husband's, whether it was in reality a rape or not. Also, women are often given an impossible choice in order to get an abortion. They will be allowed to get the abortion only if they consent to be sterilized as well. As a result, many women are forced to either complete their unwanted pregnancies or get an unsafe, illegal abortion. The rest of the world has had a lot to say about especially heinous rape cases in India in past years, but unfortunately, as with many issues of this nature, it slowly faded away from the forefront of the world's mind. For example, a brutal gang rape of a woman in Delhi in 2012 made headlines across the world and sparked protests within Delhi and other parts of India. This kind of news coverage drew a lot of attention to the issue of rape in India, but since it was one of only a few such widely broadcasted cases, not much changed because of it. Currently, progress is being made to improve the rights of women in India regarding rape, but it is excruciatingly slow. Youth activists are doing what they can to lessen the stigma in India and in other countries, and more women are slowly coming forward to report their assaults, but there is still a long, long road ahead for women in India.